Well, hi there, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. Um, Now, when I first started hanging around the channels, the horror channels and film channels on YouTube, I found this circle of channels that I really liked, and this is my first tag video. I was tagged by a channel called Anthropomantic Fiend, and that was one of the channels. I've been subbed for a long time, and that was one of the first little circle of channels that I hung out in. And actually, it's maybe one of two of that first initial group of channels that I found that I still am sub to, or visit and watch their content. I love the content on that channel: book reviews, music reviews, movie reviews. I like the way the channel's content is presented, um, and I always have fun watching Anthro's videos. And so that's the key. I just love listening to the content being talked about, and everything is cool that way. So I was tagged by that channel, and I will put the link to that channel as well as the channel that they were tagged from. I don't think I've ever had any interaction, or they've never had any interaction with me, but I will put both of those in there to like trail back to where the tag came from. And yeah, so this is a John Carpenter tag where we are asked 10 questions about John Carpenter and his catalog and him personally. And so yeah, we're going to do that. The first question is, what is your favorite score from a John Carpenter movie? Now, being a metalhead skate punk, that is really, really easy for me because it is Ghost of Mars. Now, I know people don't like this movie. But usually in in that particular situation, I really don't care. This is an 8 out of 10 to me on International Movie Database. I absolutely love this movie. I love Pam Grier. I think it's funny that Ice Cube is the star of a movie with one of the heaviest soundtracks that I've ever heard. This soundtrack features Slayer in like the top position. Slayer and John really are this soundtrack. He also has a lot of input from Steve Vai, and if you don't know who that is, they played with David Lee Roth for a long time. He also that movie Crossroads with Ralph Macchio, that's him in the guitar battle. So that's Steve Vai, and it's also got a lot of contributions from Elliot Easton, who is better known as the lead guitarist of The Cars. So yeah, this is a really hard soundtrack, and I love that. Being a metalhead skate punk, so of course I'm gonna love it. So as far as the movie goes, I'm a sucker for space horror, and I love Pam Grier. I love everything about this movie. And even though it's very, very underappreciated, which will bring us to our, next question, but to me, it is very appreciated. I absolutely adore this movie. So my favorite soundtrack is Ghost of Mars. Our second question is that what is in your opinion is the most underrated John Carpenter movie? Mine, it's a little fight between these two: Village of the Damned and Ghost of Mars. Killer Kids, if anybody who knows my channel, Killer Kids is one of my top 3 subgenres. Vengeance, Killer Kids, and slashers, of course. So I love Kirstie Alley in this movie. I love seeing Christopher Reeve before the accident. This movie scares me because that's why I love Killer Kids movies. Killer Kids can scare me. And yeah, so Village of the Damned and Ghost of Mars, but if I have to choose, I think Ghost of Mars gets a lot more accolades because of the soundtrack and because of its uniqueness, leaving this as in my opinion, as the most underrated John Carpenter movie. Yes. So that's my choice for it. Now, the third question is, what, in your opinion, to you, is the most scariest scene in a John Carpenter movie? That would be in Halloween. Nostalgia, whatever the ingredients are that makes that your choice. The actual scene is the big chase scene, but the scene itself that I consider the most scariest scene in a John Carpenter movie is when she thinks she has defeated him and is in the bedroom, and you kind of take a breath, right? Because it's all done, you think, and he sits up behind her. That nearly sent me over the. Of course, I was a little kid, but that has always stuck in my mind, and I just didn't expect it. I didn't, because we're talking about the original Halloween here, so the mythos, the all the sequels, everything surrounding it doesn't apply because we're talking about the most scariest scene to you. And none of that was known, so I didn't know that he was going to sit up. Neither did anyone else in the audience. Yeah, no one knew that. We didn't know Michael Myers until this. So you have to strip away the mythos and all we know now and go back to John Carpenter's Halloween and realize that we didn't know any of that stuff. So whereas if you went and watched them all or you knew anything about Michael Myers, you may go, what's so scary about that? We didn't know that at the time. That's what started the legend, right? Was him getting up after we thought he was dead. And so, yeah, so that is my scariest scene from a John Carpenter movie, is when Michael sits up behind Laurie as she's at the window at the end of the big chase. That is my scariest scene from John Carpenter, in my opinion. The most suspenseful, I am going to have to agree with Anthropomantic Fiend. I believe this was his choice, if I'm not mixing things up. But that would be the blood testing scene in The Thing. I can remember when me and my older brother watched this, and I don't think either one of us could hardly speak. The tension was so intense. And to this day, I have not ran across a person who is able to sincerely and honestly tell me that they ventured a choice. He's the one. He's the one. He's the one. You can do it and just play the odds and roll the dice. But the truth is, no one knew. Even when it got down to the last two, you had a 50-50 chance. And I remember asking my older brother, well, it's a 50-50 chance. Which one do you think it is? And he's like, no. And I remember asking him why, and he was, because it's a horror movie. Neither one of them could be it. And I was like, well, that's true. There's no law that says one of them had to be. They thought it was somebody, and it turned out to be somebody. But you had no way of knowing. And I think that John did that perfectly. Because, like I said, to this day, I don't know anyone that can honestly and sincerely tell me that they really had any idea who that was. And to this day, probably not just him, but probably any movie of any horror genre that scene is probably the most suspenseful scene in a horror movie, period, number one. And so, of course, it's going to be my choice for John Carpenter movies, but it would probably also be my choice for all movies, period. Um, favorite non, question number 5, your favorite non-horror John Carpenter movie. Mine, of course, is, it's not really a struggle, but I do want to give a nod to Assault on Precinct 13. I absolutely love, love, love that movie. Um, but nothing can beat Escape from New York. Now, I can't hold it up, even though it's sitting around here somewhere, and that's where I can tell you the little story of Ghost of Mars. Now, collectors can sometimes have a problem finding a movie. I went through my entire, when I was scripting this, writing it down, my choices, and then I wanted to get the ones out to show. I went through my entire damn collection 3 times. First, I couldn't find it. Second, I couldn't find it. Then I'm like, I know that I have this damn movie. My DVD library, my Blu-ray library program tells me I have this movie. I know that piece of shit is there somewhere. So then I knew you're going to have to finger your collection. Now, I know that may sound a little risque, but what we mean by giving the finger to your collection, when collectors are searching for a certain movie, and I guess it's according to how you arrange your movies. Mine are kind of scattered. Some I do by actors. There's sections of actors, sections of directors, section of franchises. So, that would matter. The way I have my movies laid out, it can be a pain. So sometimes you have to keep the name of the movie in your head, Ghost of Mars, and then you have to go down every movie and put your damn finger on it. It's called fingering your collection, giving your collection the finger. Well, on the third run through, I had to give my collection the finger. I had to go down each one, and sure enough, when I found it right over there in a stack, I'm like, how did you not see that? My eyes went over it twice trying to find it. So Escape from New York is sitting around here somewhere, but I did just order the Shout Factory special edition. So yeah, but wherever it is, I will have to find it to replace it. But in any event, it's sitting there somewhere. But that would be my choice for my favorite non-horror John Carpenter movie is Escape from New York. Snake Plissken. I swear if I could get a tattoo of him on me, I would. I absolutely love Snake Plissken. I love that movie. And it may not be horror, but it's close enough to me. Question number 6 is, will Michael Myers ever die? Now, I don't know what they're going to do in Halloween Ends. It's an interesting question. What are they going to do in Halloween Ends? How can you kill the embodiment of evil? How can he be ended? I am really lost on that. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. I've tried to imagine, what, are they just going to let Laurie stab him to death? But hasn't that been done 50 times? I mean, Rob Zombie may have killed him, but that's not really Halloween. So, is the real Michael Myers? I really and honestly cannot say whether he's going to die. Can he die? If he is the embodiment of evil, can he die? I really don't know. I mean, that's why I'm so fascinated to see Halloween Ends, is because I want to know what the hell are they going to do. I mean, how can you kill the boogeyman? How can you kill the shape? Is it possible? How are they going to pull this off? And that's my answer. Is I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't think that you can kill him because he's not a him. He's a shape. He's the shape. He is the shape of evil. He is the boogeyman. He is the embodiment. So how are you going to do it? I don't know. It is, and I can't wait to find out. So my answer, unfortunately, will Michael die? I really don't know. I don't think you can. But I'm really interested to see what they're going to try to feed me. Okay. What is question number 7? What is the most spooky atmosphere in a John Carpenter movie? Now, I once again had a little fight about that question. I narrowed it down and then made a choice. And that is, of course, The Fog and The Ward. Now, I think this is where personal perception comes in, our personal likes and dislikes. I have a thing about institution clinics, hospitals, like institutions, asylums, like in session 9, clinics or hospitals like in Cold Prey 2. I just am immediately spooked out by a hospital clinic type setting. Be that an asylum, mental institution, like Cold Prey 2 is a hospital. I actually like the Cold Prey 2 scares me even more than Halloween 2 because only a certain amount of Halloween 2 takes place in the hospital, whereas Cold Prey 2, the entire movie, from beginning to end, is in hospital. So, yeah. hmm So any movie that is centered around a clinic or an asylum or a hospital is going to creep me out right from the start, just the setting itself. So despite them fighting, I love the atmosphere of The Fog is so dark and foggy, and the rolling fog, Adrienne Barbeau's voice, just the whole atmosphere of The Fog is really, really spooky. But in the end, because of my personal fear of clinical settings, I have to choose John Carpenter's The Ward. Now, this is a movie about, it's a ghost movie, supernatural movie, and ghosts kind of creep me out anyway. So when you add hospital, institution, and ghost, supernatural forces, you're really going to have me on edge. And I know that, like Ghost of Mars, a lot of people don't know this movie, don't have it, don't know anything about it. It doesn't get a lot of love, but I actually love The Ward. John Carpenter's The Ward. And it is my choice for the most spookiest atmosphere because the clinical setting just scares the shit out of me. That's just the facts. So, yeah. Okay. Number 8, the worst John Carpenter movie. I cannot hold that up to you because I do not have it. And I do not have it because I hate it. And that is Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I don't know what to say about that movie. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why it exists. And it absolutely gave me zero pleasure, viewing cinematic pleasure of any way, shape, or form. I just can't stand that movie. I cannot stand that movie. From the box art to the movie itself, I hate that movie. So the worst John Carpenter movie to me is in Memoirs of an Invisible Man. If he made a sequel, question number 9, if he made a sequel what would you want him to come back and make a sequel to one of his movies? My choice for that is They Live, which is also a recent order of mine for the collector's edition, but They Live, the reason that I think that They Live deserves a sequel now is because of the new technology that we have. Now, if you know the story of They Live, you know, the overlords, and we're all fooled into being controlled by these creatures that make us see everything sort of like the Matrix. We see newspapers, but it's actually Obey and stuff like that. If you don't know what the They Live is, you don't know John Carpenter. But a sequel to They Live, I think, would work really well now in this day and age because of all of the new technology that we have. How are they going to keep us all fooled? What kind of, what can the new technology, social media, and everybody with a mobile phone stuck to their head? How are, I think it would be a really great to see how they handle that subject now. So my choice for if John wanted to do me a favor and give me a sequel to one of his movies, I choose They Live. I would really love to see a sequel to They Live. And our final question is, do you believe that John Carpenter still has, another movie in him? Can he come back and make a movie? Well, of course he can. And of course he does. He's a genius, especially with horror. So could he come back and make a new horror movie? Yes, he does. Do I think that he will? No, I don't. Do I think that he should? Well, the selfish side of me wants him to. However, and this is my opinion on it, this is my thinking on it. If I were John Carpenter, I wouldn't. And the reason is people seem to be brutal about big name directors and producers and stars. But, so we're just going to talk about directors. But my perfect example is Wes Craven. Now, I know people say that he redeemed himself, when he came back and did the last Scream movie and all of that kind of stuff. But Wes Craven was wounded and he was hurt by the attacks that he received over My Soul to Take. Now, I absolutely love My Soul to Take. I had it on DVD. I loved it so much, I replaced it with Blu-ray. I love My Soul to Take. I don't care what anybody thinks, just like Ghost of Mars. And my whole point, the point that I'm making is in reference to his own statements about My Soul to Take. Now, his own, even after all of the attacks and the trashing, Wes Craven said over and over that he was thrilled with My Soul to Take. It was his vision. He loved it. He loved making it. He loved the result. He loved the final result. It was great to him, and then to have everyone shit on him. And he's lost it, and he should have never came back, and how, that had to hurt him. And it seems that fandom loves to do that especially to really well-known, really well-known people who've been around a long time. They love to tear them down, and they love to rip them to shreds. And if I was John Carpenter, considering his catalog, just like Wes Craven's catalog, considering his catalog, he would be a prime target for that. Almost, I think Wes Craven even said, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And even if the director himself comes out and says, "No, this is my baby, and I love this movie, and I love the results, and it's not confusing, and it's not, it is exactly what I meant it to be, and I had a joyous time doing it, and I'm sorry that you don't like it." Well, I love it, and I did see his vision, and I thank him for My Soul to Take. I love the characters, I love the story, I love the atmosphere. It's so that type of movie. It just checks all the boxes. Pretty people in peril, um, and I wish that he could have done more of that. And I think that it wounded him, and it took him a while before he would come back and do anything. So, and I don't know how many. How long was it? I know this is a long explanation of my final question, but it's because, of course, I would love to see John Carpenter come back and do another movie. But I'm also worried for him. I worry that he will be attacked. That's bright. That he will be attacked because of it. And that's not acceptable to me. And so I would seriously have trepidations if I was John Carpenter about coming back and doing another movie because of how long he's been gone. So, do I think he has another movie in him? Absolutely. Do I think that he should do it? I don't know. I don't know if he should. I don't know if he should risk it, because I wouldn't. Just to be honest, I wouldn't. You know, um, Anthro's um, answer was, I believe, that he's too happy. He's happy doing what he's doing now, and he wouldn't have his heart in it. And I think if you add those two things together, the real fear that he should have about the brutal fandom and how badly it can hurt, like it did Wes Craven, and your heart would really have to be in it, like full force, because not only are you making this vision, but you are also risking being attacked by fanboys and, or fandom. And no. So if I was John Carpenter, I wouldn't, unless it was something so important to me that I would risk that. But that's the reason why I don't believe that he will. I don't believe that he will, because he doesn't want to go through that. And I wouldn't want to go through that. And if your heart is not 1,001% into making some vision, like Wes Craven was, and he still got trashed. So I don't know. Does he have another movie in him? I think he's got 50 new movies in him. Is he willing to come out and put in the work and effort? Probably not, because he's busy doing what he enjoys doing right now. And if I was him, I wish that he would, like a sequel to They Live. I mean, I wish that he would. But I don't think he will. And I have trepidation about whether he should or not. So that's my answers to the 10 tagged John Carpenter questions. And I will I really don't have anyone to tag. Not a whole lot of other channels interact with mine, so I interact with them. It's just kind of one-sided, I guess. But so I really don't know who to tag or who would want to do that. So, and this is the first time I've been tagged, and I really don't know anyone to tag, to tell you the truth. So I will leave it at that. That was my John Carpenter tag from Anthropomantic Fiend, who tagged me in his tag video. And yeah, I enjoyed talking about John's movies and really deep diving and thinking about the questions at hand. And there you go. I will see you in the next one. And always remember and never forget, you are a very, very, very special person, very unique. Keep it that way. You're the only one of you in the whole wide world, so don't take it away from the world till it forces you. But I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking very, very hard, and keep screaming, but only when appropriate. And I will see you in the next thing I'm doing. I'm thinking of a couple of things, like I want to do a De Palma celebration. I want to do my 4 favorite De Palma movies, which is like Blowout, and Dress to Kill, and Body Double, and Raising Cain. I want to do a little series on that. Get back to some indie horror. And yeah, so I will see you in the next video. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. See you later.